Good morning, honey. Good morning, Bubba. It's about 6 o'clock Thursday morning. By 8 o'clock, I should be in the ocean heading south toward West Palm Beach. The trip's 50 miles. Should take about 8.5 hours. I should have really good sailing conditions. The wind should be coming from the northeast at about 12 knots. The waves shouldn't be too bad. My boat will sail very flat and fast. It should be great. It's a beautiful morning. A little breezier than they said it would be, but I think that's just through the wind's blowing 14, goes up to about 18. It is 8:20 in the morning. We've got 12 to 13 knots, going slightly behind the beam. We're romping along at 7.2 right now, so we're really scooting. I have full sails out. Waves are a little confused, not that big, maybe 2 to 3 feet, but just confused and tight. I've got a little rain coming, but I'm hoping I can outrun it. Anyway, with this speed, I'll be there around 2:30, so, it's making time. I'm romping down the coast. The waves are probably 2 to 3, maybe a little bit bigger. But the problem is, it's very confused and they're really tight, so it's jostling. It moves the boat around. Or maybe a little bit forward of the beam and on the beam. I'm probably a mile offshore, maybe a smidge more. At the closest I'll be probably half a mile offshore. But I'm making really good time, and I should be there around 3 o'clock. The wind has moved forward of the beam at about 50 degrees and blowing about 11.5 knots. And sadly, that slowed my boat speed down to about 5.2, 5.5. I've run my generator probably 5 times as long as I've run my main engine. And in the 200 plus miles that I will have gone since I left St. Augustine, I probably will have only burned about 3 gallons. I remember once sailing back from Cumberland Island with my son, Bubba, telling him, I love sailing because it's free. And he smirked at me and said, Dad, I watched what you did. It's not free. Well, sounds good. If it were a clear day, the water would be very green and it would be clear. And once again, the weather after long is blowing at about 45 degrees, which means it's coming from the southeast, and it's supposed to be coming from the northeast. And we're feeling right now about a little more than 15 degrees. And wind's blowing 14 knots. I have full sails out. When it gets to 20 plus degrees, I'll furl the sails. I'm doing 6 knots. Still a little choppy, a little confused. Maybe 2, 3 feet, occasionally a little bit bigger. Not bad. Doing 6.2, which is pretty good for a wind. We're probably less than a mile offshore, maybe a half a mile, maybe less than that. Water's 40, 60 feet. We are in Northwest Palm Beach. About 15 minutes and I will sails. And 2 miles or so starting to calm down. I took my sails down and the inlet out and the markers. There's not much room in here to spin the boat and do that. It's not going tide and by myself. But it sure made it interesting coming in. The waves really weren't that big, but they were very confused. But this is West Palm Beach. In a second, it'll calm down. But not yet. Calming down. The channel where I go to anchor is very narrow, maybe 100 feet wide, and it goes up all the way against these docks. And I think I'll be close to anchoring right across from the Trump Country Club. I forgot what it's called. But we're now entering the giant mega yachts. There will be so many just massive mega yachts. I just passed a stationary barge with flashing lights. They turned into a fueling station. I gotta get out of this guy's way. There comes a big yacht. All the giant yachts are anchored or docked over there. There's probably 60 boats here, sailboats. How's that? I don't know if you can see those, but those are the mega yachts over there. And those are big boats. Last time I anchored over here, but what I didn't know is that they've claimed a channel, although it's shown on the maps as a place to anchor, it's not. Several of the mega yachts came by very close, made faces, honked their horns, and then somebody from the marina came out and asked me if I would move, which of course I was glad to do. I'm going to anchor about 2 miles south of the inlet, and on the day that I'm leaving there's a anchorage very close to the inlet, but it can be real rolly. So I will go over there in the daytime and wait until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I will head out. Well, I'm safely anchored. I started this morning here at Fort Pierce, sailed down to West Palm Beach. It's 50 miles. It was a little cranky in the inlet, but I survived. This is where I took my sail, my Genoa down, head sail. Came in, and all that was taken. That's where I was going to anchor, but I couldn't. And then over here, there were other boats, and there's shallow areas, and there was cable crossings, and the big giant mega yacht channel. And so I finally came over here, looked around, and anchored here. and I'm safely anchored. It's beautiful. It's big. There's the mega yachts, and there's a whole bunch of them. Lots and lots of mega yachts. And back this way, you can see some of the boats. I don't know if you can see them pretty good. And some are moored, so you really can't anchor very close to them because their scope is so short. They don't go back and forth very much with current. They make it really. I was going to anchor over there, but I don't know if you can see it, but they got a big working barge. I think they're knocking pilings into the ground. And I thought that would be a terrible thing to have in the morning. But I'm here. Hey Bubba, hey honey. Well, we're done with the sail. It was 50 miles. It took about 8 hours. I guess I averaged about 6 knots. At the beginning, it was a little rough and confused, and the wind was blowing on the beam slightly behind from about 15 to 17 knots. It was going about 7.5 knots. It was good. Mostly the sail was good. It was a little wavy throughout the day, and after a while that wears on you. But there was about a 20-minute time I had to turn on the motor for the first time with the sail, I think. But and in the end, it picked back up. The inlet was a little bit choppy, but you know, the wind was going in and the waves are going out, and it makes it a little rougher. And it took me a while to find a place. It's kind of shallow, but we'll see how it goes at low tide. I think right now it's about 9 feet. I draft 5.5 feet. I think we're midway through the tide cycle, so I should be okay. But it took me a while meandering through the anchor field to find a place that suited me. There were a lot of boats, and they were spread out, but not spread out so much that I could go between them. But anyway, I got here about 4 in the inlet, and I think I finally anchored about 4:45. Now it's a waiting game to see when I can cross. I love you. Bye.